Answers to common questions. How can I get a copy of my original return? Whenever you get a proposal, an assessment from IRS, it is always advisable for you to compare your records with what IRS has on you, and the most effective way is for you to get your transcript. So, as you can see, you can get your transcript by sending the form 45060 to IRS. You can also do obtain your transcript by signing up for a account directly from IRS. Go to irs.gov and you should be able to find some links there. How can I find an IRS Taxpayer Assistance Center? Okay, if you want to work directly with IRS from the Taxpayer Assistance Center, their information can be obtained directly from irs.gov. Why did it take so long to contact me about this matter? There you go. IRS has a document matching system, DMS. So the IRS only, whenever IRS receives a report from a third party supplier or provider, your record gets updated as well. So sometimes IRS is like current with all of their notices, but if they receive the notice late from their end, then that means that they are not able to provide you information as well. So that's how it works. The notice says my taxes will increase. Will I be charged interest on the money I owe? Yes, absolutely. What happens if I can't pay the full amount I owe? Set up a payment plan. Okay? How can I make a payment plan? File Form 9465, Installment Agreement Request. For payment plans and everything, you have to make sure to work with your tax practitioner on this. You can avoid future problems by, here's the tip, you can avoid future problems by keeping accurate and full records. You have to remember the income sources that you had for the year, because if you missed one of those income reports to get reported on your tax return, that's the reason why you will get a notice, a letter from IRS requesting for you to correct or check your records to see to resolve the discrepancy. So waiting until you get all your income statements before filing your tax returns. Never ever file tax return unless you received all of your W-2s, all of your 1098s, all of your 1099s, K1s, everything relating to your income and expense and interest transactions from all of your income sources. It doesn't matter if you will go negative or not, but you have to have all information required before you file your tax returns, including all your income on your tax return. As mentioned earlier, following the instructions on how to report income, expenses, and deductions, and filing an amended return if required. Okay? So, if you need additional information or if you need some guidance, contact our office. Our website is www.cpa-consultants.com. Our email is info@cpa-consultants.com, and you can contact us at 310-800-1932. Okay, now let me show you an example of what a CP2000 looks like. Okay, this is a CP2000 copy. Notice CP2000, as you can see here, right? Here you go. Hello everyone. Notice CP2000, and the tax applicable year is 2017, and the notice date was July 29, 2019. All right. The proposed changes. They are telling you we are proposing changes to your 2017 Form 1040 tax return. This is not a bill, as I mentioned earlier. Is this a bill or not? No. Right now it's just a notice. So it says on here, we received information from third parties such as employers or financial institutions that doesn't match the information you reported on your tax return, proposes a change to tax and or payments and credits such as federal income tax. So they're going to show you the proposed changes and if you're going to receive penalty or liability, an additional tax liability or an additional penalty. Usually they show penalty information there if it's applicable. So on this example, the proposed changes added were tax liability and then the interest charges and the total amount of the proposed changes. What you need to do immediately, if you need more time to respond, I am very particular with this thing. All notices with IRS, they provide you a deadline of when you're supposed to reply by. And this one, the response is supposed to be received by August 28, 2019. Okay, so the response form, as you can see on here, if you agree with the proposed changes, complete, sign, and date the response form on page 7. Do not file amended return form 1040X if you fully agree with our changes. Now you see, a lot of taxpayers have a, if it is applicable, if the proposed change has something to do with your business, then this proposed change is not fully agreeable because you might have some business expenses that you might want to claim that will go against the income that they will be adding to your tax return. You see what I mean? So you might want to review this. Even if the change is correct for the income portion of it, the change might not be correct for the expense portion of it. If you agree with the proposed changes, right? Complete, sign, and then just send it to them. If the proposed change ended up with a tax liability, then you will have to provide your payment options on there. It is not necessary to file an amended return if you don't agree with our changes. We'll review your response and make any applicable corrections. This right here, if you do not agree, I suggest for you to have this worked on by a tax expert. Complete the response form, page 7. Send it along with signed statement explaining your disagreement and include any documentation that supports your claim. This right here, if you have any, if you do not agree, you better use someone, an expert, to help you with it. You don't want to make any mistake, especially if the proposed change is a lot. Okay? It is not necessary to file an amended, as mentioned, but if you're sending your response form with your statement and everything, with your documentations, I know that they're going to say, oh, you know what, I don't want to file 1040A unamended, so they're going to review it first. It is best, you know what, speak with your tax practitioner on this, because every scenario is different, you know. Your account needs to get assessed by an expert that actually went to school, got certified, insured, and bonded for this. So, changes to your 2017 tax return. As you can see on here, shown on your tax return is $0. Corrected by IRS is the $12,900 plus dollars, and then the difference that it's showing on here is, of course, the amount of the 1099K 1099K that was applied to your return. Deductions and difference. Deductions and shown on your return as corrected by IRS. This is for the self-employment tax deduction. So this is applicable to the self-employment. So IRS made a correction on this. Of course, they only will touch the self-employment tax because this change um, automatically makes adjustments on your adjusted gross income. Therefore, your self-employment gets adjusted as well. But the problem with this is it doesn't, of course, IRS will not know what expenses are applicable that can be added to this. So they only make changes to what they can at the point. At that point, right? So taxable income shown on return 10,000 as corrected by IRS 22 because they had to add that 12,900 plus, and the difference is of course what they have added. Tax line number 44, all of the self-employment tax 1,000 as corrected by IRS 2009, self-employment tax 500. Okay, so hold on. Okay, so any applicable deductions that they will be showing you that IRS was able to change will be provided on the explanation letters that is sent along with your CP2000 notice. Okay, and the third party, this section tells you specifically what income information the IRS received about you from others, including employers, banks, mortgage holders, etc. This information doesn't match the information you reported on your tax return. Okay. Use the table to compare the data the IRS received from the others to the information reported on your tax return. So the report that they received was from Coinbase, and it's a 1099K. Okay, shown on your return, which you did not claim, $0 reported by Coinbase, 9K. 12,900 plus dollars, and the difference is that. So they added it back on here, and the difference is that. And payment card and third party network transaction, and it is from Coinbase. Okay, so this basically is an explanation as to how the self-employment tax is calculated, how it affected your return, and what type of information they received, and if it's a misidentified income. This is a different topic that we're going to discuss at some other point. Next steps: payment card and third-party network transactions. You receive Form 1099K payment card and third-party network transactions because you accepted merchant cards for payments. So, or because you received payments through a third-party network. The amount included on this notice for Form 1099K reflects the gross reported transaction amount and not the taxable amount of your merchant card and third-party network payments. So, let's go to the important part, another important part of this CP notice, page 7 of the CP notice 2000, the response form. Indicate the agreement or disagreement. I agree with all the changes. I owe 3,900 plus in additional tax payments, adjustment, and interest. This is if you don't want to deal with amending your return, or this is if you don't want to write statements or explanations, and if you don't want to take the extra time to send them supporting documentations on reasons why you disagree. As mentioned earlier, if you file your return married filing joint, make sure that your spouse signs as well. She signs or he signs and date. Okay. Now, I don't agree with some or all of the changes. Please return. Okay. So if you return this form and if you do not agree, click this form and then sign and date. Okay. And also include copies of any documents such as corrected W-2, 1099, or missing forms that support your statement if you do not agree. Indicate your payment option. If you ended up owing, then you have to send them check or money order. If you cannot pay, complete Form 9465, completed installment agreement request, to the response form. If you made an online payment, send them a copy of the receipt along with the response form. Okay? And then if you okay, the CP2000 is not the end of, if you send them the response form, it's not the end of you dealing with them, because it has to close first. So we suggest for you to provide a, what do you call this, a third party representative. It is best for you to do that, because if not, you don't want, especially with the written response form, you never want to represent yourself alone, especially if the change is high and almighty number, if it's in thousands and thousands of dollars, because as you fight IRS, interest and penalty accumulates. And if you owe 5,000 now, and then you really feel like, hey, you know what, I'm not supposed to pay this tax, this proposed change is not correct, the longer that this proposed change is not resolved, the more interest that you're going to accumulate. Okay, and besides, you don't want to mistake, you don't want to make a mistake on any of your statements. Your statements has to be double triple checked by a tax expert, tax practitioner, your CPA, your lawyer, or somebody. Okay, so if you're going to assign someone as your representative, full name of authorized person, address, city, primary phone, best time to call AM or PM, secondary phone, best time to call AM or PM, country. I authorize the person listed above to discuss and provide information to the IRS to this notice. This one, the response form along with this needs to be, what do you call this? You have to complete Form 2848, Power of Attorney, okay? Along with this form. You cannot just send it as is. So for the voucher payment, if you're going to send your payment by check, money order, you have to send your payment with this along with your response form. So basically from page 7 to 9, attach it to your payment.